You know, one of the most common things I hear from people I work with is this: I didn't think walking would ever feel like this. Maybe it's the aching calves, maybe it's that tingling in your feet, or just that heavy tiredness that makes even a short stroll feel like a marathon. If that's something you've noticed lately, I want you to know you're not alone. There are a few small things you can start eating today that may help your legs feel lighter and your steps a bit easier. First off, let's talk about something simple but often overlooked: leafy greens like spinach, kale, and arugula. You might think, what does salad have to do with my legs? Well, quite a bit actually. As we get older, the blood flow to our muscles slows down. That's natural, but it also means your legs aren't getting all the oxygen and nutrients they need to recover after even normal activity. When that circulation gets sluggish, it can leave you feeling stiff, sore, or even unsteady. And if your feet are always cold or your legs cramp at night, this may be part of what's going on. I remember a gentleman I worked with years ago. His name was George, 71, from Arizona. George used to love walking around his neighborhood every morning. It was his little ritual after coffee, but over time he started skipping his walks. He said his legs just didn't bounce back the way they used to. He'd come home with this heavy, dragging feeling. One day, he told me, even the dog doesn't look forward to our walks anymore. We started chatting about his meals, and turns out vegetables were something he hadn't thought about much lately. Like many folks, he didn't have much appetite for salad, especially when eating alone. But once we found a way to include some fresh greens in simple meals, like tossing spinach into scrambled eggs or adding kale to soups, things began to shift. Within a few weeks, George noticed his walks were getting easier and that tight feeling in his calves. It wasn't as bad anymore. What often helps in situations like George's is eating leafy greens at least a few times a week. They're full of natural compounds called nitrates that help your blood vessels relax and improve circulation. You don't need a huge bowl. Even a handful of spinach or some chopped kale mixed into a warm dish makes a difference. Easy to chew, easy to digest, and easy to love once you find your way. It's okay to start small. Even one better meal a day is still a step forward, and every step counts. Think of it like watering a plant. Gentle, steady care can bring back strength in places you thought had faded. Your legs still want to carry you, and they will. Just give them a little help. Next up, let's talk about something crunchy. Nuts, especially almonds and walnuts. Now, if your legs often feel weak, shaky, or cramp up at night, it could be your muscles telling you they're missing some key nutrients. As we age, our bodies don't hold on to magnesium and vitamin E the way they used to, and both are essential for healthy muscles and nerves. Without them, it's easier to feel stiff, off balance, or even dizzy after standing or walking for a while. It's not just about getting older. It's about what your muscles need to keep doing their job. I once worked with a woman named Sarah, 66, from Texas. She was a proud grandmother and loved tending to her backyard garden, but lately she'd been feeling this strange burning in her thighs whenever she bent down or walked across the yard. At first, she thought maybe it was just the heat, but even on cooler days, the pain stuck around. We looked at her diet and realized she wasn't getting much magnesium. No nuts, no seeds, very few whole grains. She was eating well, just not the right things for what her legs needed. I suggested she try adding a small handful of almonds to her day. Nothing fancy, just a little bowl next to her afternoon tea. After a couple of weeks, she told me, "I don't know what's in those nuts, but my legs aren't screaming at me anymore." Her garden visits got longer, and so did her patience with the grandkids. One of the simplest ways to support your leg strength is to add a handful of almonds or walnuts to your daily routine. They're rich in magnesium, vitamin E, and healthy fats, all of which help your muscles stay flexible and reduce inflammation. Keep them somewhere you'll see them, on the kitchen counter or near your favorite chair, so it becomes a habit, not a chore. Your body still knows how to heal, even when it whispers instead of shouts. Think of these little changes like tuning up an old radio. You're not replacing the parts, just fine-tuning the signal so everything works better. Your legs are still strong. They just need the right support to remind them how to move freely. Another gentle step you can take: bring more fatty fish into your meals like salmon or mackerel. You might not think of fish when it comes to joint pain, but it can play a big role. Many older adults experience something called low-grade inflammation, especially in the knees and ankles. It's that constant dull ache or stiffness that makes it harder to get up from a chair or take the stairs. What's happening inside your body is that tiny areas of your joints may be swelling without you even noticing, until you start to feel the pain every day. I remember Robert, 74, from New York, a retired postman. He was used to walking all his life. But recently his knees had started to swell up after even a short grocery trip. He told me he'd stopped taking the bus altogether because the walking between stops became too painful. When we talked about his eating habits, he said he mostly stuck to toast, coffee, and canned soup. Quick, easy things. I asked if he ever ate fish, and he laughed. Only on Fridays, when I remember. We made a simple change. He started eating baked salmon once or twice a week, and sometimes sardines on crackers when he didn't feel like cooking. Within a month or two, he told me, I can get on and off the bus again without groaning. That's a win. What often helps is eating fatty fish 2 times a week. You don't need a fancy recipe. Just a small piece of baked salmon, canned tuna in olive oil, or mackerel with some toast. The omega-3 fats in these fish help reduce swelling and protect your joints from further damage. It's like putting a little oil on a rusty hinge. Everything starts moving more smoothly. Your body still listens when you treat it with care. Even if the change is small, the message is clear. I still want to feel good. Food can be a kind of medicine. Not the kind that fixes everything overnight, but the kind that gives your body a chance to feel lighter, freer, more itself again. And here's another gentle nudge. Think about adding more berries to your day, especially cherries, blueberries, or blackberries. Now, if you've ever noticed that your joints feel stiff in the morning or your legs feel sore without much effort, it might be from something called oxidative stress. That's a fancy term, but all it really means is that your body's cells are getting a bit overwhelmed, often from long-term exposure to inflammation, sugar, or even everyday wear and tear. With age, our natural ability to clean out these little stresses slows down, and we need extra help from what we eat. There was a woman I worked with in Minnesota, Linda, 68. She loved her morning routine, coffee on the porch and a short walk around the block. But after one icy winter, she noticed something had changed. Her knees felt tight like rubber bands and her legs seemed heavier than usual. She thought it was just the cold, but even by spring, things hadn't improved. We looked over her diet. Lots of bread, some meat, but not much in the way of fresh fruit. I suggested trying a bowl of berries in the morning. She started with frozen cherries over her oatmeal, then moved to blueberries with yogurt. Within a few weeks, she said the stiffness had eased, and she no longer needed to hold onto the railing when going down the steps. One of the easiest habits to try is adding a handful of berries to your breakfast. Frozen or fresh, they're packed with antioxidants that help fight off the stress your joints are under. You can mix them into oatmeal, sprinkle them over cereal, or just eat them with a spoon. The flavor is sweet, and the benefit builds quietly day by day. You don't need a big change to feel a big shift. Sometimes the smallest addition, like a few berries in the morning, reminds your body that it's still capable of feeling good. Like drops of rain softening dry earth, these small choices can wake up the parts of you that have been waiting to feel alive again. If something I shared today felt helpful, let me know in the comments. Maybe you've already tried one of these tips, or maybe you're just starting to make changes. I'd love to hear your story. And if you'd like more gentle, real advice, like this, tap the subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss the next video. Remember, you're not alone in this. You're stronger than you think. And every step you take toward feeling better, that step matters.